Morning. Oh, afternoon now. Nearly 12:10. I'm using this Canson paper. It's I think it's French. I bought it in Florida last year. 2 blocks of it, 60 sheets in total for about £10–12. Very good value, but it's a very slick paper. I've got an idea it's machine made, but it's okay for wetting wet, just about. I'm using it because I've got to use it up. Had a good afternoon yesterday painting for a friends group local to me in Wellington, Carshalton, and I did three demonstrations, watercolour, two half imperial, 22 inches by 15, and one this size, 15 by 11. That 15 by 11, that's 38 centimetres by 28 centimetres, so double that size for the half imperial. I did a Dartmoor scene, a Lakeland scene, and Rocky Gorge, which I practised yesterday morning, which I like doing. I'm not so sure whether this paper would like scraping out. I didn't use it for the scrapings. I used it for a moorland scene. So that's what I'm inclined to do now. So with my 2-inch hake and my palette, lemon yellow, raw sienna, alizarin crimson, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, Payne's grey and burnt sienna. I think I'll just give them a little. I've got this spray, but it's not spray. It's not fine enough. So I'll just give that a little bit. So that'll give the paints a chance to soften. And I'll wet the paper all over. I'll give it a good wet. I've got to try and do, if I paint one later, I've got to do a misty one for Natalie, one of my subscribers. She asked me to do it. She's made a really good stab at a misty view, but the paint in the middle distance across the lake was dried a bit too quick. She had a lovely misty distance, but wanted to sort of progress the mist coming towards the viewer. So we'll have a go at that. I've done it in a number of woody scenes, misty woods. This paper will expand, but they all do when I write it. You don't need to shrink the paper. This is £140 weight, it's quite heavy. But we'll see how we go. So I'll put a bit of a wash of raw sienna. These are all student quality colours. Oh yeah. So let's just get those in we can put a bit of red in if we want. Across the top maybe. Right, now we'll put blue and red. Bit of dark for the shadow under the clouds. Right, okay, that nice threatening sky. And we'll put in a bit of a blue background. Touch of the red in it as well, so I'm just going to add this might be just a little bit too there's a bit of lemon yellow with that as well now. Get some Watercolour. Coming towards the viewer with this roughish landscape, And just warming up as we go, a bit burnt sienna, a bit red. And then I can build up a bit of a texture in the foreground. But I just want it to soak in a bit. This paper is okay provided it's wet, so here we are. So that's nice green. Right, let's get some light. Nice light yellow. Right, okay. Now we want to put in some distance. It's still a bit wet, but we'll put in some trees, a bit of burnt sienna, a bit of ultramarine lemon yellow. Let's just put some in here. When you're painting on some wet surface, you need to paint thick and almost a dry brush. Otherwise, the paint will just disappear. But go on, because we're just putting some hedgerows up here, we need to make sure they're a bit blue because we're in the distance here. And then we'll do some blue over that burnt sienna there. So just putting in the fields into the distance. So on moors, in England anyway, you get a lot of cultivation. They're moors, they're wild, but they're not that wild. Everything about them is shows a man's hand. Let's get some darker bits. Eventually I'll start putting some buildings in. But I'm not quite sure how to do that without using white paint. Okay, so I don't want this to look the same as the other side. All little fields. And as we come to the foreground, I'm just using the corner of the brush here. So we'll just come in here, going over the hill there. I'm going to put a bit of blue in there. It disappears over the hill. I like hedgerows. A lot of them have been grubbed up on our fields for efficiency reasons, but I think bit by bit they're coming back because of the wildlife that suffered. Can get combine harvests in some of the small fields in our landscape. We're a small country really. Just put some bigger ones coming up here. something like that. Going to have to reclip. Right, that's got a little bit faint. I haven't mastered that yet. Yeah, you do it in acrylic, you can get all your tones right. It looks more like a cloud, but it's supposed to be a misty distance. It's a bit too misty, and I'm not going to go over it. It's too risky. Trying to make this look a bit hedgy rather than just straight lines or solid lines. I don't know why I don't use much more burnt umber. This is burnt sienna. I like burnt sienna, but I suppose with a bit of Payne's grey in it, you could turn it into burnt umber. Anyway, so that's a bit of countryside there. Let's just get that coming up here. Right. We'll put in some rocky bits on here, I think. Not a lot, but we'll put in some. Just using blue, black, red, bit of sienna. Just so I can scrape out with my card. The group that I demonstrated for yesterday, they love the plastic card. They're all, some of them brought their paints and they were painting along with me, doing what I was doing or what they wanted to do, and they were coming up with some good effects. But like everything with painting and textures, it does take a bit of practice. It's not straightforward really. Let's just reclip. Right, let's just put in some I'm going to put in some bushes and okay. I've made both sides a bit similar, and a bit too. I'll just add a bit more in here. Right, let's get in some nice green. Plenty of gauze type of stuff here. Just putting some texture, some grass in. You've got to etch out a bit of a pathway down there. And then we'll do some over here. No Payne's grey. Just ordered some because I'm not going to stop using it, but there are times when you need a a good shortcut, good darks. Just get that up a bit higher there to make it different from the other side. Lovely green, browny greens. Keep some air in the trees when you do them. So put a bit of warm dark in there, warm shadow, a bit of red. So I'm doing this is hopefully is throwing the distance back because I'm using the warm colours here. Right, okay. So yeah, we've got some nice stunted sort of trees there, a bit dark there. Okay, so that is that. Now we need to do some work on this field here, but before I do, I'm going to clean my brush and just lift out a bit of a path going through there. I've used my 1/2 inch brush. I'll put in some foliage along there just to create some banks. Right, okay. Back to the hake. The hake is all about the right amount of water in your brush. Right, let's just just go down a bit. Quite tricky this. Swear word. I'm going to have to lift that out again. But I want some dark here. Just showing the shape of this, a bit of a cheat really, but so lots of clumps of grass and stuff. And my key colours are really burnt sienna and burnt sienna and ultramarine, my stock in trade. Got a hair coming out there. I'll do the same here. Oh, yeah. I'll put a couple of figures along this track, small figures. Okay. Now I'm going to put some very faint blue on that. I'm not really happy with that. Just want to clean my palette. Oops. Missed my waste paper basket there. So, very faint blue. We'll just, when this dries, I hope it's going to show. Because of the colours, just going off into the blue yonder. I'm just using the blue as a recession, aerial, small, tiny fields. That should dry light. Just a lot of stuff, nothing in particular, just creating the impression. Just going to come up here a little bit. Probably overdone this, but you can experiment and create your own landscapes. I'm not copying anything, I'm just doodling, so making it up as I go along. So that, I'm just really trying to justify that blue there that's sort of dried a bit faint. Probably a little bit stronger there, maybe. Oh, maybe that's a bit better. Alright, let's just obliterate some of that. I think we might have solved the problem there. See how that dries. Right. I'm nearly done. I'm going to put the figures in. There's a bit of wriggle work. So just a bit of grey from light red. I'm going to start using burnt umber on. Right. Okay. So we'll put in some figures coming down here. Put a rib on it. reddish. Blue jeans. No, that one's not showing very much. Okay, so just some small little figures there. That gives a bit of scale to everything. They're a bit further on than these trees here. And we'll just put a little bit of calligraphy in. So you get lovely dark with the burnt sienna and the ultramarine, look. And you can go warm or cool. Let's just add a bit of lemon yellow just to green it up a little bit. Right, let's put a couple of birds in. Okay, give it just be brushing the water. Right, I'll give it a signature. Well, I'll put it in a mount. See what it looks like, and then go and have some lunch. Oops. My cloths are drying. Mostly from yesterday. Now, I've got somewhere my blue mounts. Bear with me. Oh dear, where have they gone? Oh dear. Talk among yourselves, juggle. Oh, lost my mounts. Oh, here they are. Right, the blue one. Sorry about that. So there we are, we've got a Dartmoor, Exmoor, Bodmin Yorkshire Moor type of painting. Let's just bring you into that. Let's see if I can get it. If I come down, I'm still trying to sort out the best angle for all this. I reckon that could come down a bit more. Right, well that'll do. Well, there we are. We've got our distance. I hope this all these blue marks I put across here to show trees. They're probably a bit unsubtle, but it does stretch off into back into the distance with the warm colours in the foreground. You have to remember that when you're painting distance, you really have to do it with colour. Cool blues and bluey greens, and warm siennas and reds coming forward, and that gives you your colour, your aerial recession. And of course you can do it by less distinct. Here's probably a bit too distinct, but I'll zoom you in, and sorry about all the jumping around. But okay, let's go down to this corner here, to the rocky bit, and some rocky bits on that side as well, to show that path which I lifted out with a bit of blotting or a bit of toilet paper, tissue paper. So there we are. I like this. This has come out quite well. I'm quite pleased with those greens. Okay, so that'll do. Let's zoom you back out, and then you can have a look at that. Right, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye bye.